Greetings, my name is Nkululeko Nkosi and I am the co-founder of We Digitize Agency. We are a digital agency based in Johannesburg, and this video is pretty much focused on paid media in the digital marketing space for artists. So what I'm going to be going through for you guys is sort of tactics and an approach on how to sort of like set up and do everything with regards to digital marketing and digital paid media. So I want to explain the concept of paid media. Paid media is pretty much any advertisement where you are sort of have you spend a bit of money, a media budget, to have access to an audience that obviously these platforms like Google, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn don't give you organically. So there's a difference between organic media and paid media. Organic media is free media. Paid media is media that you pay to access. So this session, or this video rather, is just going to be focusing on just some tips on a strategy level that you can take, and what sort of thinking patterns you should have when it comes to digital marketing and paid media. So the first thing that you need to understand when you are building your paid media strategy is you need to understand three things. You need to understand your marketing and your sales funnel, and obviously what does that mean? This means that you need to understand some of the key touch points like awareness, and what follows awareness, consideration, what follows consideration, conversion. So when you have those things, you need to at each and every touch point and each and every section of your funnel, in your marketing process, you need to have a goal. So in the awareness phase, you need to have a goal that focuses on more on awareness and reaching people. So your goal there, if you have a website or have social channels, your goal would be to get people to those channels. So this is where you would spend maybe the money on getting access to people, and metrics that you would pretty much like most likely focus on are reach and impressions. And then once you've passed the awareness stage, you move into consideration. Now consideration, you've already established a relationship with your audience, and they also kind of already know what you're about. Now this section, you are focusing on just seeding and building a stronger relationship with your audience. So there, your interactions with the people should be more detailed. So all the content pieces and everything that you do in this phase is focused more on immersing your brand into the key conversations and the key spaces that it needs to be there. So when you are linking on social media, when you are using all these mediums to drive these messages, you focus more on the interactions and the engagement that will drive a stronger relationship with them. So your goal there is to increase interactions and engagement with fans, to make sure that they connect with you and they form a deeper relationship with you. Then after that, you focus more on conversions, right? So conversions is obviously now you driving sales and you making sure that all your engagement that you've built up in the consideration phase moves on to this phase, and then people are now converting, right? And that's pretty much like the main thing. And then before you even you start even running ads, you need to do something that's called a customer life stage journey development process. So what you do there, you're essentially breaking down all your all your consumers, right? You need to build targeting profiles with different characters. So you find that you're getting a CPO, and let's say you're a music, a record label, for instance. You are looking at a CPO who's interested in hip hop, and he also likes Nike, certain brands. So with the customer or consumer life stage journey development process, what you are doing is you are breaking down the audience, right? From an individual perspective. Once you break them down, you pretty much know how to now communicate with these people. So there's certain things obviously you need to take account of, like you need to obviously develop your journey stage. You need to speak on the discovery. So how are people actually finding your content, right? How are people finding you as a business? You're selling products and services, right? So you break that down into different segments. So you explain, okay, so people find me online and they also find me on social media, right? So they can either find you online on search engines or they find you on social media. So you state that. And then also then you have to speak on what are some of the desired results when they found you. Or obviously you have to now design and also be intentional. Once they found you, what do I want people to how do I want them to respond and what do I want from them? Now they've landed on my digital channels, what next, right? And then the next thing, you have to identify a barrier. So what is the one thing that is stopping them from connecting with you deeply as a brand or as a business, right? And again, you need to highlight the key area that is affecting your progression when it comes to establishing these relationships with your audience, right? And then obviously the third and not final sort of aspect of this process, you need to focus on the task. What do I need to do to make sure that I connect with these people? So this is focused on things that you think you need to do as a brand or as a business online to get their attention and to fix some of the problems that you may be having when it comes to connection or forming deep relationships with your audience or your potential customers. And the last thing is you need to identify the KPIs, so the key performance indicators. So if, for instance, your campaign or all the work that you are doing is focused on awareness, you need to focus and think of, for instance, metrics like, or KPIs like reach and impressions. Once you have the reach and that data, then you can kind of give you a sense of like how well you are performing. If you have benchmark based on awareness, consideration, it could be your metric could be relevance, right? Am I relevant in the space that I'm playing in, right? And if I'm relevant, like how can you tell if you are relevant, right? So these things are going to help you once you've designed your campaign and your approach, right? And then the last thing is then what is like the desired action, right? So obviously once you've built awareness, you've created like relevance in the space that you are playing in. Obviously now you need some action, right? And the action could either be sales, and if you're an artist or a record label, for your artists and stuff, you need to make sure that obviously sales, it's either streaming numbers or merch sales, or you can do different bundled options for your releases or anything, and that will help you understand like how well you are doing, right? So that's the customer life stage journey. Once you've developed that, you need to now start going into your overall funnel, where you're going to build a strategy that will allow you to stretch and see how much effort and how much content should go into each phase, right? And obviously now you have to build your funnel, which is obviously just in a triangular sort of symbol or shape. At the top sits awareness, in the middle sits consideration, and at the bottom sits conversion, right? Now depending on where you are as a business or a brand in music, you have to now mention that, okay, 60% of my budget or 60% of my efforts are going to sit in the awareness phase, right? And if it's 60%, the other 40% now has to be split between consideration and conversions, right? Because for instance, if you're a new entrant in a space, focusing heavily on awareness is very key, because obviously you are still new, you need people to know about you and all of these things. And then secondly, conversion, then if you had identify that, okay, I need to have 60% of my effort on awareness, would now then be on the consideration. You take maybe, for instance, 25% and say, in terms of effort and resources and money and budget, 25% of that budget, after I have planned out my campaign and my paid media campaign, I need to now spend a portion, which is 25%, on the consideration phase. And now this is where I would be driving into actions online, engagement, is engagement focused. And then obviously if it's 25%, what about the other 15%? The other 15% now focuses on you getting conversions. Once you have those conversions, obviously that leads to sales. So those three things, this is where you then would need to build your own formula, breaking down in percentages. based on what you are trying to do. So for instance, let's say in a case where you've already developed some form of awareness in the space you are playing in, and you want relevance now. You want to establish thought leadership. You want to establish you want to establish like some form of an authority in the space, right? So then your focus would be relevance and consideration. So you'd say, okay, awareness, I mean, I'm still not going to minus awareness from my situation and my strategy. I may just say, instead of 60%, I'll just commit 30% to awareness and then 40% to consideration. And then the remaining, because obviously consideration is very close to conversion, the remaining 30 would then now be sort of sent to conversions. And then that's how you would build like your approach and all of these things. Once you've done that, now you need to obviously focus more on the KPI strategy and zone in on the metrics that you would need to follow. And then obviously a continuation of that part of your strategy would be then now you directly speaking about some of your key priorities when it comes to your campaign. Is my priority awareness? Is my priority conversion? If it is awareness or conversion, then I need to focus on a particular KPI, and then obviously you need to have like a step process. I need to start with awareness, and then I need to follow with consideration. And then within each sort of element, you need to now identify those key metrics that will allow you to identify whether you are doing well or not. And then this is also the place where you need to identify the channels that you are going to use to connect with these people, your audience, right? So if you're saying awareness, you could say, I want to use social media, but saying you want to use social media is very vague. Which channel in social media are you trying to use? Are you trying to use Facebook? Facebook has over 2 billion people, but that is an impressive number, but like only a small percentage of the people you want to speak to are within that 2 billion. So now this prompts you to now build a more targeted, segmented audience profile. Once you've done that, then you move into consideration. So consideration means that, okay, people are now clicking and engaging on my content and all the work that I'm putting out there. And metrics like click-through rates, and if you're running campaigns on Google Ads or Facebook or Instagram, certain things like cost per click, how much am I paying for each and every click that I'm getting on these platforms, right? Other things could be engagement, clicks, contacts, anything that is you identify as a key, a KPI, you would now need to obviously measure it and list in this section. And then the last thing that you need to do now, once you've done all of that, you've identified all the channels on digital and on the internet that you're going to use to send your messages and do all of these things. Now you get to a point where you are allocating a budget, right? So you have a list of all the channels that you're going to use. You've probably listed Facebook, you've probably listed Twitter, you probably listed Instagram. Now let's say you have a budget of 10,000. Based on the percentages that you have set previously in the customer life stage journey development process, the 60, the 40, the 30, this is how you're going to also break down your budget. So if you said, I want to spend 60% of my effort and time and budget and money and everything on awareness, and in the awareness phase, I need to use certain channels like Facebook and Instagram or Google search. The budget, if you have 10,000, 60% of that budget will have to go to that, and the rest will go to the other channels. And you break it down accordingly, and you also focus on the communication objective of each channel and what role it should play. Once you've done that, you have a strategy and you are ready to go. Then now you can start like obviously pushing the content, and if you want to test certain things, certain types of different content that you want to see which one is performing better or anything, you can focus on something called A/B testing. So you can run 2 ads, and then you can split that 10,000 budget and say, okay, I'll give 5,000 to this ad, or give another 5,000 to this ad, but you still work within that framework of the 60 and the 40 and the 30 and the 10% that you've set in your customer life stage journey development process. Once you have that, you can start creating and you can start running ads and connecting with the people that you need to connect with. I hope this video was super helpful. Yeah, like this is where now you obviously have to go forward and go create. If you have any questions, you can definitely hit us up on all the different social media platforms. Our website, wedigitizeagency.com. Our music media platform, New Soul Hub Radio. You can visit the website on newsoulhubradio.com and all the different social media platforms. Thank you for listening and your time. See you next time.